those masculine women and feminine men.
Welcome to Independent Conclusions, where we make our independent conclusion based on objectivity and subjectivity.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
That's good.
Hey, hey, women are going mad today. Hey, hey, fellas are just as bad. I'll say, go anywhere, just stand and stare. You'll say they're bugs when you look at the clothes they wear. Masculine women, feminine men, which is the rooster, which is the hen? It's hard to tell them apart today and say, now we don't know who is who or even what's what.
I'm going to be sharing this article that's by Sylvia Cello, something like that. I like to use certain materials as conversation pieces. We're dealing with masculine and feminine energy on this video.
Learn the difference between masculine and feminine energy. Do you know what is your dominant energy? We all have masculine and feminine energy in our energy bodies. The masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with gender, and both male and female can tap into both essences.
Now, first of all, I don't agree with the fact that he say that, or she says that masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with gender, because it does.
One of the things you might ask yourself is, why do boys like to play with trucks and girls like to play with like stuffed animals and dolls, roughly speaking? And one answer is, well, that's socially constructed. Parents, whether they want to or not, differentially reinforce toy preferences subtly and directly, and as a consequence, that the cumulative effect of that determines what toys the children are going to play with. It's not obvious from the literature that that's the case, but that's not a theory that can explain this. So what the researchers did was take a whole variety of toys and have a number of people classify them as either feminine stereotyped or masculine stereotyped. And then they give them to a number of children to see which toys which gendered children played with. And they found that the male children tended to play with the stereotypically masculine toys, given free choice, and the female children tended to play with the female stereotype toys, given choice. Well, that doesn't have anything to do at all with the socialization hypothesis, except they did the same thing with rhesus monkeys. The similarities to human findings, the top graph, by the way, is human subjects, and the bottom graph is monkey subjects. On the left, you see males. The black bar is masculine toys, and on the right, you see females, where the black bar is masculine toys. Now what you see is the females are more likely to play with masculine and feminine toys, although they slightly prefer feminine toys, whereas the males overwhelmingly prefer masculine toys. The similarities to human findings demonstrate that such preferences can develop without explicit gendered socialization. We offer the hypothesis that toy preferences reflect hormonally influenced behavioral and cognitive biases, which are sculpted by social processes into the sex differences seen in monkeys and humans. Janice M. Hassett was the lead author on that paper.
What is feminine energy? The feminine energy is flowing and dynamic. Her moves can't be predicted or always explained with a rational mind. She is unrestricted by the social norms because she doesn't follow any rules other than guidance coming from her heart.
Her moves can't be predicted. Right out there it says the feminine energy is flowing, dynamic. When you look at dynamic, it just breaks down that it's energetic, of the process or system characterized by constant change, activity, or progress, of a person positive in attitude or full of energy and new ideas. So then it says her moves can't be predicted. Makes sense why they use that word. Her moves can't be predicted or always explained with the rational mind.
She is like a river with countless meanders. Sometimes quiet and patient, other times strong and rumbling. The core of feminine energy is a creation out of thin air. Unlike the masculine energy, the feminine energy doesn't need to apply 10-step to manifestation. She embodies the frequency of that which she wishes to experience, and then she attracts like a magnet.
The feminine, for them, it could be a creation out of thin air. For the masculine, it's gonna be step by step. And so it's like, that's why I explained to the women that yes, you can dib and dabble and work on your masculine side, but you're choosing to forfeit your feminine benefit or quality. Like being able to attract things. There's two ways to get things. The masculine way, a man, he go straight line for it. Especially if it's a woman, he go straight line for it when he see it. For a woman, when she said man, she go work to get in the way. She's trying to attract him through indirect means. And so if a woman chooses to operate more masculine, she'll be choosing to go directly for what she want and work hard for it and have to go step by step for it, instead of being able to take advantage of her feminine energy and right while she's working on her masculine energy, but just not going too far.
Masculine women are fun in the beginning. Masculine women come packaged as a good time initially. A masculine woman will come off as something that is more achievable, easier. She will give more. A feminine woman, you have to do more of the pursuing. You have to do more of the leading. You have to be consistent. It takes time with her. She requires, certain levels of position or respect. She has standards. So in the beginning, the feminine lady will look like not the best decision. It'll look like, man, I got to do all this for her. She expects this, that, and the third. And then the masculine woman can look like, in the beginning, the better choice. It can look like, man, why would I sit and do all this, for feminine fancy when masculine Mandy is over here willing to do it all? So then the men get caught up in that being easier at the time. So the men get caught up in that, and at first it seems like he won. Feminine women are waiting for you to pursue and you to take lead, whereas masculine women, they will take lead. Masculine women will offer to pay for things. Masculine women will also buy you a gift very early on, will give it up fast, okay? Masculine women, they're in that bed with you very quickly. I be trying to tell you brothers, when I tell y'all, despise the free puss, because sometimes y'all will, oh, this woman, she over here, she buying me gifts, she giving me coochie, wow, she letting me go here. Yeah, this is what I needed. A partner like this. I call this the Hansel and Gretel effect. So y'all know the story of Hansel and Gretel. She keep feeding them. Little do they, and they sitting there eating like, oh, this is great, and they dumbass sat there and do eating it all. The real reason she was feeding them the food is because she was going to cook them and eat them. Like, yeah, yeah, it's good, yeah. Why? Because she know that she going to go in for the kill. She wants you to have some meat on them bones. This is how masculine women work. Okay, feminine women are very upfront from the beginning. Feminine women will let you know that they are relationship minded, marriage minded. They will let you know what their standards are. A feminine woman will fit into your kind of life path and follow your lead. However, she has standards. And because she knows her value, certain standards like honesty, communication, respect, these things are mandatory for her. So when you come in contact with a woman who is not setting any boundaries or standards, and she's going out of her way to fatten you up, with the Hansel and Gretel effect, y'all have to at some point wonder why that is. And then we got to hear you complaining about child support and alimony and cheating. And it's like, my brother, this woman really showed you all this in the very beginning. Okay. However, you thought it was sweet and you thought you were getting away with something. And men that are confident, when they are met with masculine women, they're offended. Masculine, healthy, confident men, if he take a woman out on dinner, it's the first date, and she offered to pay, his response is more so like, what are you doing? Like, don't insult me, pulling out your wallet and you're out with me.
She embodies the frequency of that which she wishes to experience, and then she attracts like a magnet. Nothing can resist her magnetizing nature, and thus it must be hers. Hence the feminine energy.
Now, that goes back to the relationship decision. So I'll ask them, what kind of relationship do you want, right? Do you want traditional or modern relationship? They'll say, oh, no, modern. I want a modern relationship. And I say, okay, so why? And they say, oh, because I'm not trying to put all my faith in a man. And then next thing you know, he leave and I'm left with nothing, looking stupid. Like, you know, you're making a decision out of fear because of finances when you could just put up 3 to 4 stacks or something like that. That way, if anything happened, I believe that is healthy for anybody, male or female. We have to operate interdependently. The more healthier relationship style, not codependently. Then on top of that, if you're not working that much, the truth is, or you don't want to work, but everybody wants to do something. You're gonna want to do something. He gonna want you to do a little something too. And so you probably work like 15, 20 hours. And so that way you still available and free enough to nurture the mind of the man and the children. Whatever you monetizing off of, that's part of your gift, you could be putting aside more money on top of the money that you put up initially in the beginning of the relationship, if it take all that. But you don't have to forfeit your feminine, benefit or quality or comfort just out of fear. When you can still take advantage of allowing things to come to you or allowing a man to take care of you, you can focus more on your feminine traits, and then he'll get his gift and his reward in return because that's what he wants. Relationship is a negotiation, a fair exchange. It could be unfair in other people's eyes, but long as it's fair in your eyes, you and your partner's eyes. You could have a couple that a guy don't mind different things happening with his wife, or it could be an open relationship, or it could be they do stuff together in the relationship. And everybody's happy at the end of the day though. So that's the whole point. You might not be happy with something that another couple is fine with, but it's all about knowing what you want, knowing yourself, especially as the woman, like it was saying. Identifying and knowing yourself, so that way, you can be able to know what you want as well, or know if you fit the criteria for that type of person that you actually want.
Unlike the masculine energy, the feminine energy doesn't need to apply 10-step to manifestation. She embodies the frequency of that which she wishes to experience, and then she attracts like a magnet. Nothing can resist her magnetizing nature, and thus it must be hers. Hence the feminine energy doesn't need to get out to the world to get it. It comes her way. Contrary to the traditional opinions.
Now, like I was saying, it's better to use your feminine quality, because what did they just say? He was talking about how, and just breaking down the aspect that the woman quality is like a magnet. It's magnetic, where it's hard to resist it. The women be wanting this kind of attention, but they don't understand that it comes from you having your feminine energy intact, which a man likes. Now, if you look for a feminine man, make sure you have your purpose intact and have your list, and make sure you have your plans all laid out like a man, so that way you can attract that feminine man. They say a lot of feminine men being hyper focused on dressing well is feminine. When a man is more focused on getting a woman based on how he look and being harmonious and all of that, versus focusing on getting a woman by what he's accomplished and winning. And
she embodies the frequency of that which she wishes to experience, and then she attracts like a magnet. Nothing can resist her magnetizing nature, and thus it must be hers. Hence the feminine energy doesn't need to get out to the world to get it. It comes her way. Contrary to the traditional opinions, the feminine energy is powerful. The feminine strength comes from her soul and knowing who she is. The feminine energy doesn't fear to descend to her shadows. Far from it, she enjoys facing her inner demons because she recognizes that she meets her inner power in places where most are unwilling to travel.
This woman is not scared to descend and to face her demons. She understands how important it is to know herself. She doesn't have an issue having a conversation with a more masculine man that's that wants her to focus on these things because she's already in the understanding and on the same page. And understand she's not, like I said, not scared, not running from her issues or escaping, having this escapism, style of dealing with conflict or with life and with relationships and with, dealing with yourself. Them inner demons, not scared to go and deal with them inner demons. Your power comes from going into the places that few are willing to travel. So when vetting, you want to make sure you find a woman that can manage that, has the idea, is headed in that direction, instead of trying to find one to make them do that or trying to help them and coach them. Just find one that's already like that.
The feminine energy can see the possibilities that are invisible to the structured, masculine energy. Thus she can create opportunities that are in contradiction to logic and had been previously impossible. When a man or woman creates from their feminine energy, they tap into their intuition and receive guidance from their higher selves. One can best see how this creation works in the case of great genii like Nikola Tesla or Steve Jobs.
You got your higher self talking to your lower self, speaking into your lower self to manifest certain things and to create certain habits, create certain beliefs to motivate your actions. All actions are belief based. All actions have emotion and an idea behind them. Just like Nikola Tesla created the whole 20th century.
Why Nikola Tesla never married? What is his opinion on women and his future predictions on them? When a man who has made a name for himself deliberately chooses to remain a bachelor, the world is naturally curious to know what the reasons were that impelled him to this choice. And when some preeminent man shows a firm determination to sidestep it, everybody wonders whether his superior intelligence has revealed to him some fatal defects in the institution of matrimony, which are not apparent to the average person. He frankly explains why he has never married and why he probably never will marry. In the past, the reason why Mr. Tesla never married was because his estimation of woman placed her on such a lofty pedestal that he could never bring himself to feel worthy of her. Now that she has, as he feels, stepped down from her pedestal and bartered all her noblest qualities for what is called her freedom, he is even more disinclined to matrimony than he was before. Although of course Mr. Tesla is too gallant a gentleman to say it in so many words that he thinks the new woman is almost as far beneath him as the one of other days was above him. According to his views, the sex has rushed from one extreme to another. I had always thought of women as possessing those delicate qualities of mind and soul that made her in these respects far superior to man. I had put her on a lofty pedestal, figuratively speaking, and ranked her, in certain important attributes, considerably higher than man. I worshipped at the feet of the creature I had raised to this height, and like every true worshipper, I felt myself unworthy of the object of my worship. But all this was in the past. Now, the soft-voiced gentlewoman of my reverent worship has all but vanished. In her place has come the woman who thinks that her chief success in life lies in making herself, as much as possible, like man, in dress, voice, actions, sports, and achievements of every kind. The world has experienced many tragedies, but to my mind, the greatest tragedy of all is the present economic condition, wherein women strive against men, and in many cases actually succeed in usurping their places in the professions and in industry. This growing tendency of women to overshadow the masculine is a sign of a deteriorating civilization. Woman's determined competition with man in the business world is breaking down some of the best traditions, things which have proved the moving factors in the world's slow but substantial progress. Practically all the great achievements of man until now have been inspired by his love and devotion to woman. Man has aspired to great things because some woman believed in him, because he wished to command her admiration and respect. For these reasons, he has fought for her and risked his life and his all for her. Time and time again, perhaps the male in human society is useless. I am frank to admit that I don't know If women are beginning to feel this way about it, and there is striking evidence at hand that they do, then we are entering upon the cruelest period of the world's history. Our civilization will sink to a state like that, which is found among the bees, ants, and other insects, a state where the male is ruthlessly killed off. In this matriarchal empire, which will be established, the female rules. As the female predominates, the males are at her mercy. The male is considered important only as a factor in the general scheme of the continuity of life. The tendency of women to push aside man, supplanting the old spirit of cooperation with him in all the affairs of life, is very disappointing to me. Woman's independence and her cleverness in obtaining what she wants in the business world is breaking down man's spirit of independence. The old fire he once experienced at being able to achieve something that would compel and hold a woman's devotion is turning to ashes. Women don't seem to want that sort of thing today. They appear to want to control and govern. They want man to look up to them instead of them looking up to him. Mr. Tesla is not given to making statements that he cannot prove. His life's work has been based on logic, not on guesses. In voicing his gloomy views of modern life, Mr. Tesla says his observations are not confined to the women of this country. Having always regarded woman as a super being, he expresses great sadness over the change he thinks the last few years have brought in her. I am considering this question not merely from the standpoint of a man. I am thinking of the woman's side. As we contemplate any change, we naturally take into consideration the results that may follow such an innovation. One of the results to my mind is quite a pathetic one. Woman herself is really the victim, instead of, as she thinks, the victor. Contentment is absent from her life. She is ambitious, often far beyond her natural equipment to attain the thing she wants. She too frequently forgets that all women cannot be prima donnas and motion picture stars. Woman's discontent makes the life of the present day still more overstressed. The high pitch given to existence by people who are restless and dissatisfied because they fail to achieve things wholly out of proportion to the health and talent with which nature has endowed them is a bad thing for the world. It seems to me that women are not particularly happy in this newly found freedom, in this new competition, which they are waging so persistently against men, in business and the professions, and even in sport. The question that naturally arises, whether the women themselves are the gainers or the losers. Discontent makes for cranks and unnatural people. There seems to be an uncommon number of them about today. This is one of the reasons I remain apart from the crowds. The public or semi-public character is the target for all sorts of attacks and unpleasant communications. Women who keep themselves agitated by their tremendous ambition to beat man at his game are losing at the same time something that counts for more in the end than the empty honors that success in business or one of the professions can ever give. The power of the true woman is so great that I believe if a beautiful woman, that is to say, one beautiful in spirit, in manner, and in thought, in fact, beautiful in every respect, a sort of goddess, were to appear suddenly on earth, she could command the whole world. Her leadership, I believe, would be universally recognized. History has given us many examples of the wonderful influence exerted by unusual women. Among these have been the mothers of great men. But their influence lay not in their determination to outdo man or even to compete with him. Perhaps because woman is a finer and more highly sensitized instrument, she knows by instinct her power and understands that the extent of it lies in the high position she takes for herself. But the superior never descends to the level of the commonplace. Nikola Tesla is celebrated as a genius who had an amazing ability to envision the future. He predicted cell phones, television, and even elements of the internet long before any of these things existed. But his incredible ideas of the social issues of tomorrow made him an unlikely hero in the so-called men's rights community of today.
One can best see how this creation works in the case of great genii like Nikola Tesla or Steve Jobs. When you operate from your pure feminine energy, it seems as if the laws don't apply to you. You can bend the rules and create paths that previously hadn't been thought possible. The feminine energy needs expression and creation. Without it, it dries out.
The feminine energy will still be there. Even if you master your masculine energy as a woman and your career and everything else, you're still gonna want to be fulfilled, and it will be starving in this more masculine dominant world, or if it's not understood that that's needed.
The feminine energy also recognizes when it's time to destroy and let go of the old to clear out space for something new. The feminine energy also knows when it's time to slow down and nurture new projects, ideas, or self. Thus it lives in accordance with the natural rhythms of death and rebirth.
Living within the natural cycles of death and rebirth. This is what I like to share with women a lot of times, so that way, if they understand it, it can make them a better woman. Understanding the cycles of the moon, I always say if a woman study that, understanding the wax and the wane, the different cycles, whether in psychology or whatever field you want to understand the moon by. The woman is on a whole cycle with it, like I pointed out in the last video. So these different processes of death and rebirth that a woman might go to, knowing when to go within and deal with certain things. And they even have an astrology where it talks about, you got the sun sign, and then the moon sign. The moon, the sun is how you take actions. The moon is what you need to feel emotionally secure. That's what that symbolizes. So even if you don't understand astrology, these things exist that the different planets and signs represent in this world. It's just a name put to it. But these laws exist regardless. That's why masculine and feminine energy lines up with, Mars and Venus in astrology and certain signs that's ruled by them.
The feminine energy also recognizes when it's time to destroy and let go of the old to clear out space for something new. The feminine energy also knows when it's time to slow down and nurture new projects, ideas, or self. Thus it lives in accordance with the natural rhythms of death and rebirth. The feminine energy doesn't suppress her emotions. She recognizes that the emotions and feelings are valuable messengers, and thus she listens to their lessons. She is not afraid to feel, and she feels a lot.
This is something I love to share a lot with women so they can make their own decision where they want to land at and how they want to use this. But it's so important, especially as a woman, since you guys rule the emotions and wire more emotionally and with more water in your body, to understand the emotion, understanding not to suppress your emotions, but to process them, come to a conclusion, and have a healthy emotional life, a healthy style of dealing with your emotions, interpreting them, and responding in a healthy manner. Because we can't control what happens in life, situations, or everybody else. We only can control how we respond. She understands that the emotions are messengers. That's why she interprets them, and she's more in touch with her emotions. She's more in touch with her inner self, which is those emotions, those messages. And she's not scared.
She dives deep into depths of her soul and re-emerges stronger than before. The feminine energy also perceives time differently. She thinks in the circular motion rather than linear. Everything is interconnected and moves through own cycles. For the feminine energy, it's not about how to get from point A to B. Rather, it's about how to get to any destination she wants, even if it's not on the map. If she needs to, she creates a wormhole to travel lighter and faster.
Hey, hey, women are going mad today. Hey, hey, fellas are just as bad. I'll say, go anywhere, just stand and stare. You'll say they're bugs when you look at the clothes they wear. Masculine women, feminine men, which is the rooster, which is the hen? It's hard to tell them apart today and say, sister is busy learning to shave, brother just loves his permanent wave. It's hard to tell them apart today. Hey, hey, girls were girls and boys were boys when I was a tot. Now we don't know who is who or even what's what. Knickers and trousers, baggy and wide. Nobody knows who's walking inside those masculine women and feminine men.